The use of drones to unleash terror against a Saudi refinery is not just a security nightmare for the Middle East, it also has massive security ramifications in India as well. To join us at this moment to talk about what happens next with Saudi Arabia, Iran and Yemen, and also more importantly the implications in the context of India's fight against terror, I'm joined at this moment by Dr. Wail Awad. He's one of the most prescient watchers of the entire Arabian Peninsula. Also with us at this time is Air Marshal Anil Chopra, and Karan Kamdar is the CEO of a company called Martian Way Corp. It's a company that focuses on drone technology. Dr. Awad, I want to go to you first and understand, what do you think is likely to happen next on the ground in Saudi Arabia? We've already seen crude prices spiral, energy markets are in flux world over, huge concerns for India as well. The Saudis not blaming the Iranians at this moment directly, the United States blaming Iran very, very categorically. How do you see this chessboard moving in the Middle East from here?
Well, we have to see it from the eyes of the Yemenis, which they have been imposed on them a war for the last 5 years now, with so much of killing, destructions and total chaos in the region because of the Saudi-led coalition war on Yemen. This led to retaliations by the Yemeni forces, which they have used this technology of the drones and the ballistic missile that they are having it indigenously developed. Of course, could be with the help of the Iranian, but at the moment we all know that every part of Saudi Arabia, the Arab Peninsula, is now vulnerable to any attack by the Houthis. Therefore, attacking such a strategic and well-guarded oil refinery in Saudi Arabia, which is considered to be the major oil refineries there, and which can produce 7 million barrels a day, and now they are been halted to 50% of the production. And just now we came to know they cut the oil supply to Bahrain. The pipeline also has been stopped, bumping the oil to Bahrain. And now the Saudis military spokesperson was saying that this weapon has been an Iranian made. I think all this indication shows that the United States is not willing to reconcile with the Iranian at this stage, because there is a coalition between the United States, Israel and Saudi Arabia to wage another war in the region. And now they are trying to see there's a new battle zone in the Middle East and West Asia. Therefore, could be the reason why they are not able to pinpoint on Iran. They are just accusing without any evidence. Therefore, I think the objective of the United States at this stage is to rally more of allies along with it to deal with the global oil crisis, rather than dealing with the humanitarian crisis they have really created in Yemen.
Air Marshal Anil Chopra, this is a security nightmare, because I remember intelligence alerts in India before this suggesting there could be a drone attack on Bombay High, on the Reliance Industries refinery in Jamnagar. These are vital installations which are vulnerable. But what we know is that this particular refinery in Saudi Arabia, the Abqaiq refinery, is one of the most guarded refineries in the world. And if they were able to take drones and attack this refinery, not just one attack but multiple attacks, what ramifications do you think this has in the Indian context of India fighting terror?
Rahul, let me first have a brief look at the status in Abqaiq itself. You know, this complex is just inland from the Gulf, off the coast of where Bahrain is, and a lot of oil that goes out from here goes via the pipelines through Bahrain. Three types of reports are coming. One, of course, the Yemenis have said, the rebels have said that they are the ones who have done this. There are also reports of a possible attack from Iraq or Iran. Of course, Iraq has said that the directions in which the target has been hit, they are not the ones who could have done it. Now, let me tell you, there are total 19 hits that have taken place. We call it designated point of impact. So that's a large number. Mind you, in this area, this is not the first time. The pipelines have been hit in the past every now and then, but the scale of attack this time has been huge. Now, as a military man, let me explain to you. You know, in this area, Iran is about just across the Gulf. So that's the closest major country. And Iran has got their own UAVs, and they have got combat UAVs which have been armed as recently as 2018 with the 4 missiles, and they are all precision weapons with the accuracy of around 2.5 to 3 meters. And in a refinery complex, that accuracy is really huge. Now, why would they use a UAV and not a strike? One, of course, that today's UAVs are expendable. The UAV will go and hit the target and blow itself up, or may at best carry some weapons which are precision glide bombs or things like that. So we have been operating UAVs within our country, and we understand what are the types of targets that a UAV can engage, and what kind of the manner in which we go. Now, I must tell you that there are these loiter UAVs. For example, the Iranian one called Shahid 129, it has got a range of close to 1,000 kilometers. It could loiter in the target area for a few hours, 5 to 6 hours. But ultimately, and it has a human in the loop. That means the final UAV attack can be controlled by a human sitting in on the Iranian control rooms.
You can have the fanciest missile defense systems, and India has just bought the S-400 from Russia. We've got 2 on one border, 3 on the other. But given that these are A, very cheap, relatively speaking, B, they fly so low they can be controlled, that even the most expensive and elaborate missile defense systems may fail against the drones.
Absolutely. But I must tell you that in our case, the Baroda Bombay Industrial Complex and the Jamnagar refinery, they are very, very important for us. After all, we remember in 1971, we have gone and knocked off the Karachi refinery in Pakistan, and a similar thing can happen from the other side. But you must know that we have got Nalia, Bhuj, Jamnagar. It's a complex of 3 airfields in that area, and therefore there will be a large number of air defense aircraft, and of course there are weapon systems positioned to defend the Jamnagar refinery. And the Indian Air Force is going to be proactive. They are going to be launching offensive sweeps so that we do not let anybody come within 100 kilometers of Jamnagar, notwithstanding that Jamnagar is fairly close to the border. So there are proactive action, and of course there are air defense missiles, air defense guns in large quantity which will be positioned to defend. And even if odd missile or odd weapon will get delivered, the overall damage will be contained.
Okay, I want to go across now to the drone expert on our show and understand from him the implications for a country like India. Karan Kamdar, because I'm reading here about these particular drones. There was the United Nations Security Council report which says that these, most likely, the Houthi arsenal for this kind of ammunition is a Qasef 1, which is very similar to an Iranian-made Ababil 2T UAV, which has been used in Yemen since 2016. Do we know at all whether such technology is available in the Indian neighborhood? Is that really a big threat that we'll have to be aware of?
In India, we have to, we are first of all not at all prepared for an attack of such type. And the reason is, I want to just give a little bit of a background about the technology that is available in India today to combat such an attack and why we are not prepared. Actually, this goes back to the Kargil War, in 1999, when the Indian ballistic missile program actually started, when there was a threat from the then Foreign Secretary of Pakistan that they would use any kind of threat possible to counterattack. So during that time, we had this program, and we were then designing the PAD and the AADs, which are now used with the Delhi NCT multi-tiered approach system that we are planning. And this is to safeguard the national capital, and we have a multi-tiered approach for that. So this is going to comprise of indigenous the Akash surface-to-air missiles, as well as some of the S-400s that you just talked about, and also the Israeli, I think it's the Barca or Barca 8 or something like that. So this is a multi-tiered thing, but the thing is that these are essentially costing thousands of crores of rupees, and these are very, very costly. So the technology is really built to combat surface-to-air missiles. We are really not prepared to combat the threat from, say, a drone that's traveling less than 500 meters in altitude. And this is where I think the country and the startups in the country should now focus on, because there is technology out there that is being used. The fixed wings that I talked about earlier, these are now being used with survey projects for oil and gas pipelines and construction.
You're absolutely right, because Wailawad, this has massive psychological ramifications as well for the entire oil market. The moment oil traders start feeling that you can strike multiple times at the most sensitive Saudi refineries successfully, then they don't know where the next drone's coming from. This could, we've already seen crude oil prices jump. This could very soon lead to petrol, diesel prices going up in India and across the world unless the Saudis can get production facilities back on track really quickly.
The billions of dollars that Saudi Arabia spent in Patriot on AWACS and all the defensive system that they have bought from the United States. Is it seriously they have really installed these things, or they just gave them PlayStations? I'm surprised why they were unable to detect all these journeys, all these flights, and they were able to hit the target in the heart of it and cut the supply. Therefore, there is a kind of collaboration or a covert operation which we are not aware of it happening in Saudi Arabia, especially the timing of it when Aramco is trying to also sell out its own equities in the market. And I think now all Saudi Arabia is vulnerable for such an attack till we find out who are the people behind it, if not the Yemenis who already claimed that they have already did this job and attack. You might find more attack on oil installation, not only in Saudi Arabia, could be also in other regions and in the Persian Gulf, to create that havoc internationally, and the global market should be threatened. Remember that Bab el-Mandeb passes also take 8% of the oil from there. There are more than 22% of the oil comes from Strait of Hormuz. So Yemen at one side and Iran at the other side, and the American alone in this war, they wanted some allies to come forward to secure this part of the world, to make the oil more expensive for India, for China, for South Korea, for Japan. Those are the countries which is more concerned with the import of oil from this part. It's not the United States which is selling its own oil.
Well, this is of immense concern to India's energy security. Our petrol bills could rise and raises the possibility of terrorists attempting a similar strike in India as well. They've got Pakistan helping them, providing them with the technology. The consequences could be catastrophic. Very important for our police and intelligence agencies to be on an extreme state of alert. Air Marshal Chopra, Wailawad, Karan Kamdar for joining us on the News Track tonight. Thank you very much. This is where I wrap up the show.